You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are ladies and things that makes official welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show for 16 years. What the heck have we been doing all these 16 years? We've been doing all this amazing stuff, bringing all these amazing guests, these authors with their amazing stories and all the ways that you can check them out and all that good stuff. We have another amazing young lady on the show today. We're going to be talking about her insightful journey with cancer, breast cancer, that is, and her advice to help others. But in the meantime, we need to guilt and shame you to refer your family, friends, relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her insights and everything else. We have Ady Iribhogbe on the show. Did I get that right, Ady?
Yes, you did. Excellent.
There you go. I'm working on it. There you go. I'm
sir.
good. I'm getting good at the pronunciations. What is the origin of that? Is that
Nigerian and West African.
there you go. West Africa.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're just doing an international show on the Chris Voss Show. You're going to love it.
Yes,
So she's the author of the latest book to come out July 16th, 2025, called Surviving Breast Cancer. My personal story, your breasts are not worth dying for. And as we were joking before the show, I know some guys that have probably died for a breast or two. But that's a different story. So we're going to get into her book, her insights, and all that good stuff, and how maybe she can help you, because everyone tends to get different cancers and different things these days. And of course, knowing how to navigate these things and everything else is really important. She is a 53-year-old woman of African descent, hailing from Nigeria, West Africa. She is American born and American educated, and she's a registered nurse by profession. She's been a wife for 17 years and is now a widow with 2 young children. She is a born-again Christian who loves God, his son, Jesus Christ, with all her heart, and lives a life led by the Holy Spirit. She is a daughter, sister, auntie, godmother, friend, and neighbor to a loving community. She sounds wonderful. We have her on the show. Her goal is to be a blessing to all of humankind and make disciples for Jesus. Welcome to the show, Ady. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much, Chris Voss, for having me on this show today.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to talk with you today.
We're excited to have you as well, and what a wonderful bio. Most bios are always about, oh, I'm the greatest thing that ever lived, and yours is just wonderfully humble. Give us the .coms for you. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so my book is on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and you just type in Ady Iribhogbe, you'll be able to get the book there. Covenant Books is the publisher of the book. So if you go to covenantbooks.com, you should be able to find the book there as well. So
there you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what your book is about.
yeah. So about 10 years ago, I found a lump in my breast that I thought was probably nothing. But when I went to get it checked out, within a month, it turned out it was the diagnosis of breast cancer.
Woo.
Devastating, pulled the rug out of under my feet.
Yeah.
And just the whole process of what I had to go through. First of all, advocacy to try to get my doctors to listen that there was actually something wrong. And then getting, all the referrals that was required, and then getting the treatment and the family support, my faith, and just everything that is involved in the whole process. Is not just the health part, is the finances, is your job, is your family, your children, your husband, your relatives. It's just so many things that's involved in it. So I just wanted to share that story to try to inspire someone, to let them know that, hey, even if you get a diagnosis of cancer, it doesn't always end in death. God is good, and he'll heal his people. Yes, sir.
And we're glad you're here. We're glad you survived it. So let's get into some more details. How big was the lump when you first found it? Can you give a size to it, or maybe some explanation of, because I want people that maybe if they're like, well, I kind of have a lump too. I wonder if,
Yeah, absolutely. I felt it, and I felt like it was like a grape size, like a oblong grape size. I could touch it, I could roll it around, I could feel it with my hands, and it was
Really?
only on one side. It
Mm,
wasn't on the other side. And
mm.
so I called my husband in and said, "Hey, come check this out." And just like you said, I had a husband who was greatly impressed with breasts, my breast, and he felt it, and he was like, "Well, yeah, I feel that too." And immediately, I just felt a sense of urgency to get it checked out
Yeah.
because it hadn't been there before. And
Mhm.
I'd had a mammogram a year before. Once you
Mm.
turn over 40, especially in the military healthcare system, they offer you mammograms. And so my previous
Oh,
mammogram
wow.
was normal. And so for me to find this lump in my breast that I could feel, that I could touch, that it was palpable, I needed
Mhm.
to get it checked out.
There you go. And a lot of and I think maybe you were able to get early detection. Is that
Yeah,
where you were in that state?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
That
they say
whole
that's really important in cancer diagnosis is early
Absolutely.
detection. Mhm.
Absolutely. Early detection is very, very important. Doing self breast exams is very important.
Mhm.
And fortunately for me, I had just had my son, and so I was breastfeeding. And so when you're breastfeeding, a lot of women were particularly obsessed with our breasts during that
Yeah.
period. And so I believe that my son saved my life because if
Wow.
I wasn't breastfeeding, I probably wouldn't have paid as much attention to my breasts as I did.
Yeah.
And so I found that lump, and I think I attribute him as one of my miracles.
There you go. And
Yes,
you have to be mindful of these things. I mean, especially as you grow older, there's all sorts of fun you have with doctors and hospitals when you get older. I'm enjoying that process right
yes,
now.
sir.
But I
Yeah,
got a good doctor. I'm not
yeah, yeah,
hospitals.
yeah. There are lots of doctors out there. I owe my life to a lot of brilliant doctors who
Yeah.
have taken care of me for the past 10 years.
And then you talk about advocating for yourself. This is a big issue we talk about with doctors on the show and people in the medical community that come on the show. And of
Yeah,
course, people like yourself who've been on the consumer side of it. I've got my horror stories.
yeah,
Um, it's crazy, trying to get diagnosed right, trying to get, you know, like you said, past all the referrals. I'm
yes,
like,
sir.
how many referrals do we need to know? My arm's cut off and I'm
Yeah,
just holding it here. It's pretty
yeah,
obvious what happened. Do we
yeah.
really need a referral for this?
Yes, we do. So, unfortunately, the way our healthcare system is set up is that you have to either go through the emergency room or
Mhm,
go through your primary care doctor. And if you
mhm,
go through your primary care doctor for something that is not so horrific as an arm falling off, but like a
mhm,
lump in your breast, you can't just go from primary care to a mammogram to surgical oncology, medical oncology. You got
mhm.
to go through primary care. And you got to get that primary care doctor to believe you, to listen to you, to
Yeah,
feel that lump themselves. And then they're the gatekeeper. They're the ones who determine where you go further from that point on. If they say, "Oh, it's nothing," and you just kind of walked out of that appointment and you didn't do anything, you didn't get that referral from mammogram, you didn't get to go see any other specialist, a breast specialist, for example, then you would have kind of gone on 3 months, 6 months, and
6
before you
months,
know
yeah.
it, a stage two will become stage four. And by the
Mhm,
time you finally start noticing maybe a wound on your chest, it's already stage four. And then 6 months later, you're dead and buried. So,
yeah. So I'm glad you found it early.
yes, sir.
And I imagine that's what inspired you to write this book. That was one of the questions
Absolutely.
someone gave me, and
Yeah.
clearly it's an inspiration for the book. Is the book only for women? That's an important question.
Right. So no, this book is not only for women because breast cancer affects not only women but all the people and all the men in their lives that love them. My husband was a pivotal part of my process. He was
Mhm,
the first one that I called into the shower to come and feel that lump. And so it just doesn't only affect the woman. It is
mhm.
the husband who's married to that woman who loves his wife dearly.
Yeah,
It is the
yeah.
children that
Children.
the woman has, the baby that I was breastfeeding, that I had to abruptly stop breastfeeding because now I have cancer in my breast. I can't feed my baby with that rotten breast anymore. And so it's everyone. It's everyone.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't even
absolutely.
think about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't give your baby a cancerous breast to suck on. So
Mhm.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and men get it too. I think they both get it the same. I don't know the stats and data on it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's an important thing we don't want people dying of.
No, no.
Any cancer is evil in
Yeah.
my book.
Especially
Um,
if you can find it early and kind of sort of preempt, and
mhm,
stop it in its tracks. There is a 1%, I think, is the statistics that it says that affects men worldwide, and that's
mm,
about 20,000 cases every year
well,
worldwide.
yeah. So what is the next step if I'm out there listening in the audience and I'm like, I have had that little
Mhm,
roll around thing. I can feel there's something there. And yeah,
mhm.
I always do that. I mean, with me or my dogs, anytime we find a lump or something, I'm like, is that on the other side? Is there a matching one? And if
Yeah,
there's not, you kind of worry about it because you're like, that's kind of an anomaly.
yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, I removed my kidneys because they were just on the one side, or my liver was on the one side, because I just thought it was kind of weird that there was only one, but that was
Mhm.
a bad idea. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that, folks. It's just a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
So what's next after mammogram? What journey do people have to take, or give them an overview if you could.
Yeah. So after a mammogram actually confirms the lump that you were able to find,
Mhm,
in my case, it confirmed that I had a lump, and it also confirmed that I had what they call microcalcifications, little dots around the image of the breast that was seen on the mammogram. And so the next thing what they did was to do an ultrasound. An ultrasound confirms more definitively that what is there is abnormal. And then the next steps after an ultrasound is a biopsy. There are three types of breast biopsy that are done. All three of them include jabbing a needle into your breast and getting breast tissue out, and then sending it to a pathology lab where a pathologist who is an expert in identifying abnormal cells will look at those cells under a microscope and do all their testing, and they will now determine whether this cells that they've taking out and jabbed out of your breast is indeed cancer. And
biopsy.
so yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So do a biopsy. They get to test and see. Now, with your course of action, people, of course, need to read the book to find out the details.
Yes,
But
sir.
what was your choice for breast surgery, removal, or what are some of the other options women have?
Right. So, depending on the type of breast cancer that you have, if you have what they call a ductal carcinoma in situ, which is it's contained, right?
Mhm,
You can have the option of just doing a lumpectomy, which is like a breast preservation type of surgery, where they
mm,
just kind of go in and take a portion of the breast out. But
mm,
for my case, further testing that I had to do after my biopsy was because I didn't have any family history. I didn't have any reason for this to be happening at an early. I was 44 at the time, and
mhm.
so I had to do what they call genetic testing. My genetic testing now came back and said that I had BRCA1 gene, which is the breast cancer gene that is not only responsible for breast cancer, but it's also responsible for ovarian cancer. So
Oh,
for
no.
me, for me, genetically, it was not just that I was going to have cancer. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when it was going to happen.
Wow.
But I had no clue and I had no idea because I guess in my African family history, that was not one of the things that was discussed. That was not one of the things that I
Mm,
anticipated that I was going to be dealing with at age 44. So because I had the BRCA1 gene, I had to have a radical double mastectomy,
wow.
basically taking off both breasts because again, like I said, if the genetic testing says you're going to have breast cancer, the best thing to do is cut the head of the snake and get it all cut off and just be done with it. So
Mhm.
that's what I
Yeah,
did for me. For me,
there you go.
yeah,
That's gotta be a hard decision to make for a woman.
it is. It is a
Yeah.
very, very hard decision to make.
And
Um,
imagine you talk about that in the book and how you mentally navigated that, or
yeah,
emotionally, navigate that as well.
absolutely.
Um, and, but, I mean, it's you wanna be around for your family, you wanna see your kids graduate, you wanna,
Absolutely.
live a full life.
Yes,
That
sir.
that
Yes,
seems
sir.
to be important to everybody, and so, sometimes you gotta make decisions.
Yeah, you got
So, yeah.
yeah. You
That's
gotta make
why that's why I sold my, teenagers off to Chinese organ harvesting companies because I need a new BMW, and, you know, I'm sure they'll
yeah,
understand you can live without,
I know.
2
I know.
kidneys.
I mean, it's funny, that you say that the body, God created us in such a miraculous way that he did give us some things that we can live without. You can't live without your brain, you can't live without your heart, but you can.
I
live
know
without
some people
your
doing that on Twitter though with the brain.
And you can live without an arm and a leg, and one kidney can be gone. You can live on one liver, and so you can live without your prostate. They
Yeah.
can take that out, and you're still fine.
You can live with one bottle of vodka a day.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
learned that lesson.
Absolutely. Well, the other option that they do offer you, Chris, to kind of make you feel not so horrible about this, heavy decision is breast reconstruction, right? I had a long surgery that included not just the surgical oncologist who took off my breast, but I had a plastic surgeon who came in after him to try to reconstruct two new breasts for me. And the process was going to be, they put in a cadaver tissue, they put in tissue expanders into the space where they've taken out the breast. And then you have to go to the plastic surgeon at least about, every week to get it inflated until you get to the size where you want to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They can do that. Wow.
Yeah, they can do that. And
Amazing.
so a lot of women do it for cosmetic reasons,
Sure.
People who are trying to, who are actors and their breast is their, focus of their industry and what they do. They do that electively. But in this case, with breast cancer, they do offer breast reconstruction as part of the, solution to say, hey, even though we're taking off your breast, but here's an option. The problem with that, though, Chris, is that it doesn't always work. I had a failed reconstruction. I was committed to the process. I let them insert everything that they needed to insert, the tissue cadaver, the breast expanders and all that. And I was going in and getting it inflated. But Chris, I felt like my head was being pulled to my chest. I had the worst headache of my life.
Really?
And then the cells, on that left side started to get red, inflamed, swollen, painful. That it just was, I was miserable. I was more miserable than it was worth for me. And then they put you on a timeline, Chris, right? Because when you get your diagnosis, now it's like a race to the finish line, right? There's a whole lot of things that has to be done, not just surgery, but then they'll decide chemo based on how many lymph nodes they were able to get out of your breast. If those lymph nodes were positive, then you're definitely going to need chemotherapy. And then that chemotherapy has to be done within a 6-week period. And so you have to heal from surgery within 6 weeks.
Holy crap.
You can't have any complications. You can't have any delay in your process because you cannot miss your timetable and your schedule. So when I started to have the issues with my reconstruction failing, it was going to put me behind. And so we had to make a decision. Which one is more important? Is it my life or is it this reconstruction and fake boobs? So we decided to abort. My husband and I discussed it and said, you know what? We don't need this reconstruction. Let's just go back in, take everything out, and we'll figure that out later. Let's just be on time and on schedule so I can start chemo within the 6-week mark.
Oh, wow. There you go. How long did you have to do chemo?
Chemo was 5 months, 20 weeks. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, Chris. Chemo scared me to death, literally.
I'd be scared too.
Yeah, absolutely. You read in my bio that I am a nurse. And so I've worked in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I've taken care of patients who are going through chemo, who are coming into the Heart and Vascular Center where I work with heart complications related to chemo. And so that was my biggest prayer, is that my heart will be strong enough to withstand it. They actually do an echocardiogram for you before you start chemo as a prerequisite to see whether you could withstand it or not. And so, it's not just the fact that you lose your hair and you lose your eyebrows and you lose your nails and so many other things, nausea, vomiting, weight loss, and all these things that come along with the side effects of chemo. But the impact on your heart is real. And once like we mentioned earlier, as we were joking, you only have one heart. If you lose that heart and that heart goes into heart failure, literally you might just die from heart disease, not even the cancer.
Scary stuff.
Yes,
Scary
sir.
stuff. Where did you I imagine I know the answer to this based on, we've read about you in the bio, some of the things you mentioned, but
Yes, sir.
where did you find your support? Where did you find your core, base? I mean, it was in your religion,
Right,
of
right.
surviving this sort of thing because you
Mhm.
kind of have to start, buying into a higher power at that point. You just have to start believing in
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when you've been living your life, la-di-da, everything has been going great, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, boom, this
Boom.
curveball just, shows up in the form of a lump in your breast. You go to the doctor, they almost want to blow you off, and then you do your mammogram biopsy, and everything confirms a month later that you now have breast cancer. And
Wow.
you're just in shock and awe. You're
Yeah.
just like, what is happening? Where is this coming from? Is there a family history? You ask 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
Why me? What did I do wrong? Haven't I already gone through enough stuff in this world? Like, what is happening? Like,
Mhm.
why? You're totally devastated,
Mhm.
totally devastated. But then, after the immediate aftermath of you hearing that news, then you start to gather yourself and say,
Yeah.
okay, my background as a nurse says I need to just follow the treatment plan. Just wake
Mhm.
up every day and one foot after, put one foot in front of the
One
other
foot.
and just do the treatment plan. I
Mhm.
will deal with the symptoms as I go along, and I
Mhm.
will deal with the emotional turmoil and the psychological impact on a day-to-day basis. And
Mhm.
so then I dust off my Bible and I
Yeah.
start reading. And then I call my pastor and I ask for prayers. And then I reach out to my community of women and say, hey, I'm going to be going through surgery. Can
Oh,
somebody come
yeah.
over and help me look after my
Yeah.
baby, my 6-month-old baby, who
Yeah.
I still needed a babysitter for, or help me take my daughter, who was 6 years old at the time, to school. And so you now have to now relinquish your control to others and
Mhm.
reach out to your community, your immediate surrounding community, wherever you go to church with people who you go to church with are people you need to reach out to. This is not a time for secrecy. Privacy, I know healthcare is private, but then
Mhm.
you have to have your inner circle of people that you can reach out to immediately. I call my family, my brothers, who are all over the United States in different states, and all of them came running. They were like,
Mhm.
whoa, this is my big sister. I got to go check on her. And they all came. And just that visit, that encouragement to say, hey, we love you. We care for you. We're thinking about you. We're good. Whatever you need us to do, even if it's just send me a gift card so I can feed my kids for that night, because I can't cook dinner.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy now to do mom duties,
Mhm.
cleaning, cooking, and things like that. And then
Yeah.
there's a lot of services out there, Chris. I'm so impressed with the breast cancer awareness and all the organizations that are out there that really support women and their families.
Oh,
I
wow.
had a university healthcare foundation through my employer who offered to pay my bills
Wow.
while I was going through breast cancer. This was a thing. Because by virtue of the fact that I was an employee, and I was going through cancer, they had a foundation that says, we'll pay your essential bills, your
Wow.
mortgage, your cell phone, your health insurance premiums will
Wow.
not lapse, the important things. And
Mhm.
I'm forever grateful to them. And proceeds of whatever I make from my book is going to organizations like that.
Oh, that's good to
I'm going to
know.
I'm going to be paying that forward. Yes,
There
sir.
you go. That's good to know.
Yes, sir.
It's important there are things like that. We need more health support in this country and everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You talk about some of the difficulties you went through with the medical system.
Yeah.
You being in the medical system probably helped your state of mind and helped you, like you say, after you went through the initial shock, pull up your bootstraps and go, okay, how do we tackle this problem? And and then of course the advice you have, reaching out to groups, I think the first thing people mostly would do, especially women, is they'd be really embarrassed, maybe wouldn't want to talk about it, wouldn't want people knowing about it.
Yeah. Not at
It's
all.
highly personal,
It is
you know, right?
highly personal, Chris.
Yeah.
But it's personal. But when it happens to you, and
Hmm.
then you start researching it, and you
Hmm.
start finding out the number of women that are the
Hmm.
statistics, the sheer statistics alone about how many women are diagnosed every day And now younger and younger women, Chris,
Yeah.
women in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And like I said, for me in my 40s, totally unexpected, out of nowhere. You know, this was not what I was planning on or embarking on. And it was exactly on my 10-year anniversary of my wedding. So it impacts your relationship, your marriage,
Oh, wow.
you have to be married to the right person to be
You
able to deal
definitely
with
do.
to be able to deal with this kind of diagnosis, because a lot of women, their relationships fall apart as a result.
Mhm.
As a
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. You have to just kind of dig in and reach out. It is not you, it's not something to be ashamed of. Because
Mhm.
I heard you say shame. It's not
Mhm.
something for you to be ashamed of. This is stuff
It's
that is
human.
affecting women and everyone who loves a woman for since the beginning of time. So
Yeah.
please do not hide it. Please do not cover it up. Especially women of different cultures where there's so much conservative views about what you're supposed to talk about. Please, 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 please. This
Mhm.
is what we're trying to remove the stigma, to say, seek help, seek help, seek help.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I like how you built the support team around you. That's really important too.
yeah,
When you're going through hard times, or anytime I have questions about something I'm struggling with, I'll share it with on social media,
yeah,
and it's amazing the resources you can find there. I recently
absolutely.
had hernia surgery, and I was kind of like left afterward. It's like, what does recovery look like, and what's
Mhm.
some advice, and how can I avoid
Yeah,
re-tearing the hernia, and how can I, have a good recovery? And so I joined some Facebook groups. That's kind of what I do on everything now. I
absolutely. Yeah,
joined some Facebook groups, and boy, I learned a lot.
yeah,
And
yeah,
probably never heavy lifting at the gym ever again, because
yeah, yeah.
that. But I learned how to do recovery. I've seen some horror stories that made me worried, but they
Mhm,
also made it so that I'm like,
mhm,
okay, we're gonna rest and not
mhm.
lift things for a while.
Absolutely. You have to
Kind of
slow.
remind me just to
It will slow you
calm
down.
down a little bit.
Like you're gonna slow down. You
Yeah.
have to slow down. You
Yeah.
have to slow down.
But
Yeah,
having that support group is really important, being able to get your
absolutely.
questions answered, because the doctor, they've
Absolutely.
only got a limited amount of time they can spend with you.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. We are
the
blessed that we have social media, right?
yeah,
Now that we're able to kind of just type in a search and say breast cancer newly diagnosed, and you will be amazed as to how many YouTube videos are out there of all kinds of women, green, yellow, purple, whatever, they all out there sharing their stories, sharing their videos, showing you pictures of their chest and things like that. So I'm so grateful to be around in this time and age where it's just a matter of, typing some words on your keyboard and you'll be able to reach out to and touch someone.
mm, there you go. So yeah, the support group is there for your help too, because chemotherapy hits you, man. It
It
saps your
does.
energy,
It
makes it
does.
so you don't want to do anything.
It does.
Um,
It does.
yeah, it's pretty fucking amazing.
Mhm.
And so yeah, and being able to advocate for yourself,
Yeah.
having like support for your children,
Yeah.
etc. All
Yeah.
these different things that are so important. So
Yeah.
as we round out,
Yeah.
what are some other things maybe you want to tease out to people about the book, help them
Yeah.
pick it up?
Yeah. So the longest chapter in the book is chapter 11, where I talk about chemo and my chemo buddy. I had an amazing woman who was my children's pediatrician who Chris, I don't want to get emotional, but she saw me while I was still doing mom duties after I had gone through surgery. I took my son to for his a well child checkup, and she was like, "What's going on?" And I said, "I just went through surgery for breast cancer, and I'm supposed to be starting chemo." And then she said, "Well, when are you starting chemo? I will be there with you. If it's on a Tuesday or Friday, those are my days off.
Wow.
I will pick you up. I will take you to chemo. I will sit with you, and I will bring you home to your family." Because I've had my mother, my aunt, my sister, my cousin. She had 3 women in her family who had been through breast cancer, and so
Wow.
her support was so significant that it was like a godsend. Someone who's already experienced it with her loved ones, and she was willing to spend her time to give me what I needed the most, that I didn't even know that's what I needed, Chris. I didn't know that I needed a chemo body. I didn't know that I needed someone to sit with me while I
Mhm.
was getting chemo poured into my, poison is what I call it, coursing through my veins for 4 hours a day every week. And so I'm so grateful to her. But there's a portion that I wanted to read to you, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's talking about time and waiting, right? So time and waiting are the keys to healing after the damage that cancer treatment does to you. These are also the two hardest things to comprehend. Our nature as humans make us demand that healing happen quickly and fast, but that is not so. Healing takes time. We cannot rush the process. So you might as well just hurry up and wait. Someone told me that. Someone told me that during my process, and I hated them for it. But it is the truth. It is the truth.
Yeah.
Uh, Waiting patiently, waiting prayerfully, taking one day at a time, and doing the best that you can do for each day while maintaining a positive attitude. And that's on page 54 in chapter 11 of the book. And so that's kind of sort of, for me, sums up the whole thing. And then before you know it, a year becomes 2 years, it becomes 10 years, and I'm sitting here talking to you, Chris.
And we're so happy.
Yes.
And, this is the great part of what I love about our show.
Yeah.
We tell stories, we share stories. We always say stories are the fabric of life.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got good and bad stories, but really the stories are about survival. They're about rising from the ashes, phoenix things.
Yeah.
And that's why we love these stories, is because they give us hope. They give us renewal. They let us know we're not alone. And, like you've written about in your book, it can be very personal to where people are like, I don't want to share this. I want to talk about this. But then you find there are other people like yourself that they've been through other things. They have what I call a blueprint of survival, where they can go, hey, I survived this. So can you.
Exactly.
And let's get you taken care of.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just think it's great that it's out there for people.
Yes,
so as we go out, give people your final pitch out to pick up the book, .coms, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so Amazon.com, you can get it in ebook, you can get it in paperback, you can get it on covenantbooks.com. They're the publishers. You can get it from them as well in paperback. Audiobook it's being worked on to come. So yeah, that's it. And you can go to if you search me on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook as well.
There you go. There
Yes,
you go. Well, thank you very much, Ady, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we've helped save some lives with what you're talking about.
Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate you making me feel comfortable to talk about this on air with people. And
I like breasts, and we need to save breasts. Damn it.
We need to save breasts, and if we can find these cancers early, we can save lives and we can save breasts along with it.
These are the link to.
Yeah, but if it gets to the point where those breasts are trying to take you out, then you need to take them off.
Yeah, you gotta be like, hey, some things you can live without. But I mean, the fountain of life, it comes from women's bodies, and we need to preserve them because we need life to keep happening. The propagation of the species, people, is what we're all about these days.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Ady. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Order per book wherever fine books are sold. It's entitled Surviving Breast Cancer, My Personal Story, Your Breasts Are Not Worth Dying For. Out July 16th, 2025. Share it with a friend or anyone else for that matter. And get tested. That's probably a big thing, huh, Ady?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Get tested.
Get your mammograms.
Yep. And if you think something's wrong, check into it, because you never know. And sometimes it's better, you can sleep at night if you find out that everything's fine.
Absolutely.
But, at least you know. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys